everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a book haul for August. I have a bunch of books here to show you. I don't know how many there are, but there are a lot. I got a couple as gifts, a couple from the library, and the rest I bought myself. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the books that I got from the library first because they're at the top. And these first two I have already read. So the first one is Homegoing. This one is adult literary historical fiction. It starts off with two sisters, one who is forced into marriage with a slaver in the 1700s, and the other one is forced into slavery by the same person, and she is shipped off to America. And then it follows their family trees, so we follow each of their descendants. It's told in alternating chapters. So if you look at the family tree, we follow the two sisters here, and then it goes from one descendant to another, to the next, to the next. And it's such an interesting way to tell the story, and I did really enjoy it. I'm going to talk about this more in my wrap up at the end of the month, but it is a very good book and I would highly recommend it. I'm considering doing a separate review video on it. Let me know if you'd want to see that, because I think it brings up a lot of things that I would probably like to talk about. I really wish that I had shelves behind me so I could stack up these books, but this is the best I can do for now. The next one I've also already read, and that is The Beekeeper of Aleppo. This is about a husband and wife who flee Syria because of everything that's happening there, and they head into Europe, and their ultimate goal is to reach the UK because that's where the main character's brother is. Again, it's told in alternating chapters, so we have flashbacks to Syria, and then we also have the present day where the characters have reached England and they're trying to claim asylum. I did really enjoy this one. I thought it was a very good book. Let me just fix this exposure. I probably won't be doing a full review on this one just because it's one that I didn't feel that strongly about, but it was a very good book. And the author, although she is an Assyrian refugee, she is someone who works for UNICEF in Greece and at the camps there where the refugees have to stay. So she does have experience in the field, I guess. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Glad that I read it. And then the third and final book that I got from the library is Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. This one is obviously by the author of Divergent. It's about 5 teenagers who once saved the world from the big bad guy. A few years later, they're chosen, or they have to save the world again, and they're expected to. Saving the world the first time traumatized some of them. They have been learning to live with that, and I think at least one of the characters is suffering from PTSD. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm going to be reading it very soon and then hopefully doing a full review on it. I'm probably going to have to stop stacking these up because they're definitely going to fall. That is it for my library books. I'm going to show you the 2 books I got as gifts now. The first one I got is from my friend Nikki. I'll leave a link to her channel below. She is a booktuber, and that is The Invisible Library. It's a very short book and I wasn't expecting that. So this is a alternate reality kind of story. So the main character is a spy for the Invisible Library. They have to travel to alternate universes in order to get fiction and bring the fiction to the library, I think. In this first book, I think this is a very long series. In the first book, the main character has to go after a dangerous book, but she finds out, or they find out, that it's already been stolen. So I think this one sounds really good. It's really fast paced as well, so I'm probably going to try to read it in September if I have time. I've just got quite a few things I need to read in September, so I'm not sure, but it's one that I'm very much looking forward to reading. And then this one I got from someone on Twitter called Jen, and that is Where the Forest Meets the Stars. I love this cover, I think it's stunning. So this one is about a main character who is living in a cabin, and her mother has died and she is also dealing with breast cancer, and then this mysterious child comes out of the woods one day and kind of improves her life in various ways, and I think it sounds really good. I haven't heard much about this one and I'm not sure any of my friends have read it, but I am very much looking forward to reading it at some point. I do struggle sometimes reading books about cancer, so I hope that the author handles it respectfully, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, and then all the other books are ones that I bought for myself. I did get a couple of them secondhand, but mostly they are brand new, and I'm really pleased with myself because I'm supporting authors and the economy and all of that, and I'm also kind of making myself feel better by buying books. So the first one I got here is one that is very popular at the moment. I got it because it was on sale, and I've also had my eye on it for ages, and that is Girl, Woman, Other, which won the Man Booker Prize last year. This one follows 12 characters in the UK. I think it's kind of about black history in the UK, or black culture in the UK at the moment. I'm not entirely sure, but it says this is Britain as you've never read it. This is Britain as it has never been told. From the top of the country to the bottom, across more than a century of change and growth and struggle and life. So I think it sounds very interesting. I had a quick flick through and it does look as though it's written in verse, but more literary verse maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know much more about it other than it's very popular, very well received, and it won the Man Booker Prize, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I also bought an adult fantasy book, and that one is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. This one, like I said, is adult fantasy. S.A. Chakraborty loved it, so I'm fully expecting to love this too. So what I know about this one is it's being pitched as Gladiator meets Game of Thrones, the latter of which I don't really care about, but I love Gladiator stuff, and also ancient Rome inspired fantasy. That's kind of my thing. And I have to say the cover does kind of depict that. I don't know if you can really see because the camera won't focus, but you can see kind of Romanesque statues here. And it's also a revenge story. I have heard that it doesn't have many decent female characters, and I'm not sure if it's that they're not there at all or that they are treated badly or written badly. So I'm going to read this with an open mind. I am looking forward to reading it because it's well received, but at the same time I'm hoping that the sequel does better with that now that the author has received some criticism for it, because I don't really like reading about poor female characters in fantasy or in any genre really. I'm actually buddy reading this with a massive group of people, fellow booktubers and book bloggers. I'm a bit behind. I think everyone else has already started it and or finished it, but I haven't even started yet because I've been reading my advanced readers copies for ARC August, so I'm very behind, but I will get there by the end of the month. The next two are parts of a series that I loved when I was younger, and I've decided to collect the series again, read it, recap it, and just really enjoy it. Those are the first two books in the Edge Chronicles. So we have Beyond the Deepwoods and we have Stormchaser. So if you haven't heard of these, I don't know if they're UK children's books, but they were definitely published in the UK and the US. So Beyond the Deepwoods is the first one. It follows a boy called Twig who has been raised by, I think they're trolls or goblins in the woods. One day he finds out he's adopted, even though really it should be quite obvious. He doesn't look like any of his family. He finds out and then he goes on a journey through the deep woods in order to kind of find his destiny, and he meets all of these different creatures. You can see some of them on the cover here, and what's really great about this book is that it has illustrations throughout, and the illustrations are really freaking creepy. So this copy that I have is actually quite like worn and yellow. I'm just trying to find you a good illustration. So for example, this is one of them. Absolutely terrifying, and I remember being quite scared of this book when I was younger, but I also remember really enjoying it. And there was also like a twist towards the end that I didn't see coming, and then I think that kind of kicked off my love for twist endings. So I'm going to read this one sometime soon. I've got a project in mind for it, and then hopefully I'm going to carry on with the series and read the sequel, which is also about Twig. I think he has a trilogy within this series. It's a very long series, but it's split up into different trilogies, I think. I also bought White Fragility, which I was listening to as an audiobook, but I couldn't really get into it, and I was having trouble following it, I think because I was also working at the same time, which was probably a mistake. So I've bought this as a physical copy. I'm hoping to fit it in August, but if not it'll be September, because I'm trying to focus on my advanced readers copies in August, like I said, and this obviously is not an advanced readers copy. Then I bought a fantasy book that I've had my eye on since it came out in, I think, October last year. It was either October or November. It was one that I was dying to get my hands on, but it was quite difficult to find in the UK unless you shopped on Amazon, and that is A River of Royal Blood. This one is about two sisters. One of the sisters has magical powers, and previously the only other person with these powers was this infamous queen who kind of destroyed countries and empires and shit. So the sister is now kind of trying to deal with the infamy of that and the reputation that she is gaining by having these powers, and she also has to fight her sister. I think it's fighting. It says here that Eva must now face her older sister Isa on her 17th name date in a battle to the death if she hopes to ascend to the Ivory Throne. And I know that this is North African inspired. I don't know if it's part of a series. I'm going to have to look that up. If it is, then I hope that I love it so I can read the sequel, because I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. I'm so glad I finally found it in the UK. I think this pile can just about handle the next two books that I have. Okay, so the next one I have is historical fiction, and it's about World War II. So that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which is so hyped up, and I've never actually read a Kristen Hanna book, but I am determined to. I think I actually might enjoy The Great Alone more than I will enjoy The Nightingale, just because I'm not a massive fan of World War II fiction anymore. I think I burnt myself out on it a few years ago and just no longer love it. But I am very much looking forward to reading this one, especially because so many people have said it makes them cry, which I love in books. I love it when they make me emotional. So this is about two sisters who were separated during World War II and their separate journeys, I think. I don't know if you've realised, but I have discovered recently that I love generational tales. And I don't think this is quite generational, but it is about two sisters who go their separate ways. So it's kind of like a family thing, but separated. And I actually quite enjoy reading about that in books. I think it's because I'm really into genealogy and ancestry, so that's why I loved Homegoing so much, because it was so interesting, and I'm hoping that this will be just as interesting too. I don't think I'm going to read it anytime soon, just because I don't think I can fit it into any of my upcoming TBRs, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to reading it, especially because everyone seems to love it. Then the final book is one that I hadn't heard of until I saw it in a bookshop, and that is Black Tudors. So this one has won a history prize, so I think it's quite well regarded, and it's about English/British history. I think it tackles the misconceptions about African immigration being recent to the UK, and it's about Black people living in Tudor times in England. It says here that there is a black porter who publicly whips a white Englishman in the hall of a Gloucestershire manor house. A Moroccan woman is baptised in a London church. Henry VIII dispatches a Mauritanian diver to salvage lost treasures from the Mary Rose. This is about long forgotten records and remarkable stories of Africans who lived free in Tudor England. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. I have found that I have been focusing very much on US history and African American history recently, so I'm looking forward to reading more about English or British history that I haven't really learnt about in school. I think this one is going to be quite a dense read, so I have to really be in the mood for a non-fiction book, and I might try and pick up the audiobook if there is one so I can read it alongside, because I find that quite useful when I read non-fiction, so I'm going to give that a go. Okay, so these are the books that I bought in August. Let me know if you have read any of them already and if you would like me to talk about any of these in particular. I'm very excited to get to The Chosen Ones and The Rage of Dragons and Girl, Woman, Other. Basically, I'm very excited for most of these, so let me know if you would like a review on any of them. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.